The URC season is starting this weekend, folks. Let's go through some of the transfers, the guys coming into the squads, a few guys who have left. You guys can let us know your thoughts on which players you are excited to see take the field for their new teams and which players you are going to miss. It's not an exhaustive list because each team has a number of players coming and going, but there's certainly a few guys to highlight, and you guys can also point out the ones which you think may be flying a bit under the radar. We'll start with Connacht because they've signed a New Zealander in Josh Ioane. Plays mostly 10, can play 15. A little bit of a case of unfulfilled potential. He's one of your one-cap All Blacks. Had a little bit of a time off the field in terms of getting distracted off the field, let's put it that way, or Josh Ioane. I guess he's potentially going to battle it out with old Carty for the number 10 jersey, or potentially resumes the role which he's had recently over in New Zealand, which is largely as the utility guy, plays 10, plays 15, often seen in the number 22 or 23 jumper for the Chiefs in recent times. They've also signed midfielder from Bristol, Piers O'Connor, so bolstering the ranks over in Galway. But yeah, we'll see how both these signings go. For Leinster, they've signed a few big names. Achia Snyman, I feel like, is the biggest in terms of just the pure size of the man. And the fact that he's on a longer-term deal. Geordie Barrett is obviously a massive signing as well, but only on a shorter-term deal. So you feel like the long-term impact will be more with Snyman than with Barrett. But no current All Blacks at that top level tend to take contracts anywhere but Japan for their kind of sabbatical time. So the fact that he's headed to Ireland is phenomenal. Slimani is also heading over to bolster the front row ranks in Leinster with, remember, Michael Ala-Alato has left Leinster after a few seasons there. Jason Jenkins has also left. So yeah, Leinster filling in a few gaps which have been left by some guys leaving. And certainly, as I mentioned, some of the bigger names coming into the URC will be going to Leinster. For Munster, Takia Abrams seems like a good bit of business because remember Simon Zebo has decided to retire, and Abrams is that kind of not diminutive, is it the right word? You know, he's that real agile, quick outside back. He's the kind of ankle breaking style guy. Comes over from France. I think he'll be a proper excitement machine player to see. With the no Zebo, no Antoine Frisch and whatnot, you need that kind of excitement machine player. Takia Abrams absolutely fits the bill there. They've also signed Billy Burns. Remember, Carberry left in the off-season, so Billy Burns, you feel like with Jack Crowley being the kind of established guy with both Munster and Ireland, will still be the main guy, but you do need that depth in case of injuries and when the international call-ups come and whatnot, so Billy Burns seems like a good bit of business. And then for Ulster, I'm excited to see Aidan Morgan, who is apparently Irish qualified through a grandparent, been playing over here in NZ for the Hurricanes, largely as an attacking-minded number 10. Can play also a bit of 15. But yeah, he's headed to Ulster. Remember, Billy Burns leaving, so there's a bit of an opportunity for someone to get a crack. And potentially that guy is the 23-year-old Aidan Morgan. I really reckon he's one to watch out for. Proper excitement machine. Also, Werner Koch has signed, and he's committed everything that guy does, whether it's ball carries or tackles, whether he's in the midfield or the outside backs. Yeah, I think you'll get good value out of that guy at Ulster as well. For the Scottish and Italian teams, Adam Hastings returns to Glasgow and Magnus Bradbury returns to Edinburgh. Both these guys have had stints in the Premiership. Ross Thompson's left Glasgow for Edinburgh, so I guess that's potentially where Adam Hastings fits back in. And then also Vili Mata left Edinburgh, so there's a spot there at number 8 for Magnus Bradbury to return into. So I think those guys will be both welcomed back with open arms. I never quite know how much it takes or how long it takes the fans to get used to the likes of a Ross Thompson switching colours from Edinburgh to Glasgow. But hey, there's only the two Scottish sides in the URC, so sometimes that's going to happen. Benetton and Zebre, Lewis Liner signing for Benetton is certainly a welcome one now that he's a fully fledged Italian international. Although you feel like the Italians, kind of like the Scots, with just the two clubs in the URC, benefit from guys playing in the Premiership, playing in the top 14, because it just means there's more slots available for youngsters to come through the system in Italy. So Lewis Liner potentially takes the spot of someone who may be the next Lewis Liner, but having a fully, fledged Italian international exciting outside back player representing Benetton. That's the kind of thing that gets bums on seats at Benetton games. So he's a good bit of business. Obviously, Padovani not playing for Benetton this year as well. So they're looking to bolster the outside back ranks. Also, Matt Gallagher there as well. Another new Italian international. So we'll see how the Benetton boys go in terms of their try scoring with the outside backs. Zebre, a little bit less in terms of guys coming and going. They've got Giacomo Dare, who's had a bit of a disrupted kind of couple of years. He is an Italian international, plays midfield, plays 10. So we'll see how he goes in terms of his fitness and in terms of his appearances for the Zebre boys. Hopefully they have a decent season, but it's tended to be a hard couple of years. For the South African teams, Corbus Visa, that's Corbus with the C, not Corbus with the K, obviously. He's back after a stint in the Premiership as well, played a fair bit of lock for the old Sale Sharks, so he returns to South Africa, so he'll be a big bit of welcome South African beef back into the second row for the Bulls boys, potentially loose forward as well. Borta Chamberlain has also signed. Remember, Chris Smith's left South African rugby, so adding a bit of depth at 10 from the Sharks there. From the Sharks to the Bulls is what I mean. The Lions, a little bit less. Maybe a few guys leaving. Jordan Hendricks has left. Emmanuel Chituka's left. But they have got Franco Morea back. He's not been in South African rugby, the hooker, for quite some time. He's been over in Japan for a few years now. So welcome return for that guy. Remember, he used to represent the Sharks a long time ago now. For the Sharks, who haven't they signed? They got Khaleesi back. They got Andre Esterhuizen back. They got Jordan Hendricks from the Lions. They got Emmanuel Chituka from the Lions. But they've also had a lot of guys out the door. Borta Chamberlain, like I mentioned. Cohen Bosch, Werner Cox. So bit of a revolving door for the Sharks. But they've certainly got one of the best rosters in the URC. They may not have the stability in terms of the squad. But they have to be better than last year. Last year they were big-time underperformers. And for the Stormers, they've also signed a few experienced guys in terms of their forwards. I mean, Stephen Kitshoff's back. JD Schickerling, Dave Ewers. All experienced campaigners, a bit of tall timber, a bit of beef. If they can, Kitshoff's not been, he didn't show his best at Ulster, and he's currently injured. So fingers crossed the Stormers can get him back to full fitness. It's a shame Diamani has left the Stormers because he was a real, such a fun guy to watch. But he wasn't getting the Springboks call up I think he would have wanted. So he's over at France now, but that's a shame because he was just such a fun guy to watch. And then for the Welsh teams, Cardiff. They've got a new 10 in Callum Sheedy. They've got a new 9 in Alan Davis. They've got a new prop in Ed Burns. So making some signings in the right places, I guess. But Thomas Williams is gone. Reece Carey's gone. So again, it's sometimes you let one go and you bring one in. Whether it's an upgrade or not, we'll kind of find out in this upcoming season. For the Dragons, they've got a pretty good lot of loose forwards. Like they've signed Shane Lewis-Hughes, who is a Welsh international. Lucy, they've already got a few good Lucies in the likes of Tame Basham. They got Aaron Wainwright, so they're not lacking for loose forwards. And they got Solomon Funaki from Moana Pacifica, who's had a bit of an injury disrupted time, but he's another loose forward. So they're well stocked in the Lucies. We'll see if the Dragons can also, like Zebre, have a bit of a better season. For the Ospreys, Welsh international signs from the Scarlets and Kieran Hardy. That's good news. Phil Thokanasinger, brother of Joe. Signs. I haven't seen much of him, but they've also lost the likes of George North. They lost Nicky Smith. So, some of the veterans kind of leaving. And for the Scarlets, they've brought in some props, which is not the sexiest things to be bringing in, but it's basically where you have to build the team from. Alec Hepburn, Scottish international, loose head prop, signs from Exeter. Henry Thomas, tight head prop, English and Welsh international. So they've brought in some proppage, which is, I think, generally wise, because you can have all the flashy backs in the world, but if you don't have it up front, you're not going to get very far. They've obviously lost the prop in Wyn Jones. They've also lost Kieran Hardy. They've lost Jonathan Davis and whatnot. But signing some props is always a welcome news for old 2 cents here. As I said, not an exhaustive list, but those are some of the key signings for each of these teams. We do have a Super Brew pool for the URC and for the Premiership. I'll put both of those down in the description if you guys know your predictions. If you've never played Super Brew, it's a free game. You basically just pick which team you think is going to win and by what margin. The closer you get to the margin, or if you get within 5 of the margin, you get points. If you get the winner right, you get points. And we'll go throughout the season to see Who comes out on top? My picking in recent times has been pretty average. I won the Six Nations pool a couple of years ago, but I'm a wee while from having a proper good performance in the old Super Brew. But yeah, feel free to sign up. You guys, let us know your thoughts on how you reckon the URC signings are looking. Can the Sharks guys gel together? How do you think Geordie Barrett is going to go over in Ireland? You guys let us know your thoughts, and we'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.